What's up, people? Okay, so I'm live. I'm back. I'm going to continue my reading of The Age of Apocalypse. Like I said, there's I think 47 books in it, and we have read 4 now. Or no, we're about to start number 4. We are about to start number 4. So the last book, if you remember, we got to see what happened to what became of Cyclops and Alex and Beast in particular and Angel. So we seen Jean in the very, very first book. And so we know Jean is with Magneto's X-Men. The original 4 X-Men, they end up all closely tied to Apocalypse and Sinister. Alex and Havoc were raised by Mr. Sinister, has like a surrogate father to them. While Corsair was in space, like in the Reign continuity. Corsair does come back in this story, but instead he leads them on a chase of events. It turns out he was there for 5 years getting experimented on and cut up by Mr. Sinister. And, on the surface level, it seems like it's because it was Cyclops and Alex's dad, and he wanted to hide it from them because Cyclops and Alex are very high-ranking officers in Apocalypse's army. They're called prelates. And prelates are like some of the only things higher than the prelates are the horsemen. So they're up there in rank. So with that said and done, Cyclops and Havoc are these 2 high-ranking officers in Apocalypse's army. Sisters or surrogate fathers. So it also makes sense that maybe they wouldn't want their father. They keep the father away from him because he wouldn't approve of where they stood in the Human Mutant War. But that's the surface level it appears. Maybe Sinister kept away from some of that, but no, this motherfucker was infected with the Brood, and Sinister and Beast were playing with that Brood and trying to figure out how to do things with that parasite. And Sinister made up the lie to Cyclops when Cyclops was confronted and was ready to fight him. Why didn't you tell me? And he said, I didn't want you to see your father in this state, and I spent all my time looking for the cure. I didn't expect him to escape. That's good old Sinister. He's like, I was trying to protect you, and Cyclops, because Sinister's like a surrogate father, Cyclops accepts that. So now, and then we saw X-Man, and his thing was really convoluted. Not convoluted, but really time-twisting. I'm not going to try to explain it. He was in the book before, and then before that, obviously, we have Magneto's X-Men, and seen them go on their first mission and fight the Horsemen, and all that stuff. So now let's get a look at them and what's become of them. So, Rogue was a kid, so here we see her as a grown woman now. Magneto's got that long hair. Nightcrawler, we haven't met Nightcrawler in this one. Yeah, this is Blink. I believe Blink debuted in this, and this is my boy Sabretooth, and he is one of the X-Men in this. We've seen him in the first book as one of Apocalypse's people, and so now we're going to see him and how he ended up on the X-Men in this alternate timeline. And let's have some fun. Let's just get into it. Tales from the Age of Apocalypse, starring the X-Men. Stan Lee presents a tale from the Age of Apocalypse by the Light. I met the writer of this, Scott Lobdell. I met him and got X-Men 300 signed by him when I was a little kid. I waited to set at Comics Unlimited with my mom and my sisters. Okay, this is The Dream Has Died, brutally. 2 decades ago, Charles Xavier, the prime exponent of peaceful coexistence between mankind and mutants, was slain. With his dying breath, he passed the mantle of hope and brotherhood to his close companion, Eric Magnus Lencher, the mutant called Magneto. But in the ensuing years, the ancient warlord called Apocalypse arose and cast the world into a horrifying eugenics war, pitting a human against mutant in a struggle for supremacy. And the war goes on, as here in Central America. And then there's Magneto holding someone going, "Keep back!" Magneto attempts to free an outspoken critic of Apocalypse, the American statesperson Robert Kelly, from a Mayan temple. That's dope. They're all fighting the Mayan temple. He's got Senator Robert Kelly. He's the one for those guys who've seen the movies, and then not the movies, but the cartoon displayed it better in the book. Kelly was in the first movie, but Kelly is who's actually supposed to get killed to create the Days of Future Past in the main timeline by Mystique. Anyways, so he's at this Mayan temple, which has been converted into a prison of war camp. So now here comes some Apocalypse people. You have come a long way on a fool's errand, Magneto. Whether it be in north or south, the long arm of the High Lord Apocalypse reaches into every corner of the globe to crush any foolish resistance to the inevitable wave of the future. Magneto goes, I know of these two. That is Diablo, a being said to be centuries old, who has mastered the forgotten art of alchemy. It is through his powers the earth rises to entrap me. Oops, hold on, let me see. There we go. The other is Crusher, Creel, the absorbing man, who, through unknown means, is able to absorb the properties of any object or substance he touches. You're going down, Bullethead. Apocalypse ain't gonna like, or you're going down, Bullethead. Apocalypse ain't gonna like what you did to the Infinites. And us too are the backup in case you got past them. For those of you knowing the absorbing man, that's the dude from the Wrecking Crew. I believe these are both Wrecking Crew members. It's funny, I didn't really realize the other Marvel-verse because all this is going to become very X-Men centric. No, the Vine snatching Kelly. He'll be killed unless what, Rusty? Unless you click your magic ruby slippers together and take you and Kelly back to Kansas? Ain't likely, pal. Creel has transformed himself into the very stone of the temple. Also, Creel, before he was the absorbing man, was the man that Matt Murdock's dad boxed in the boxing match, and even in the Netflix series, his name appears up on the poster as to someone his dad's boxing. Creel has transformed himself into the very stone of the temple, so my magnetic powers cannot directly affect him. But if I can reshape the metal of my fallen helmet, forget the hat, dope. You got bigger worries behind you. Concentrate on constructing a metallic club that I can use against him. Hey, that ain't fair. Look what you did to my kisser. Hold that silver top. I'm cramming that clubby down. I'm cramming that crummy club where the sun don't shine. Keep coming, monster, and you'll lose the rest of that hideous face. Stop this insanity. Humans and mutants should be working together to halt the horror of apocalypse. Wonderful speech. Evidently, you're a politician, and isn't it that naive philosophy which has crushed all your troubles? What? Someone appearing out of thin air, an elf. Aztoliba, instead, insults already? And this from a man wearing antlers on his head? The world has indeed gone mad. And there's our boy Nightcrawler. Robert Kelly, I presume. Yikes. Good. I'd hate to think I'm freeing one of the bad guys. Relax, my friend. You are in the triple-digit hands of the nefarious Nightcrawler. Teleporting along Earth's magnetic field is a specialty. Thank heaven you might not be so grateful when you find out I'm not registered to vote. Nothing's gonna be left of you but mush, Pally. Here it comes. Huh? Something's going on. I ain't stoned no more. Well, don't let that bother you, sugar, because you still got plenty of rocks in your head. Now, you're made of stone. What kind of tricks are you pulling, lady? Or now you're made of stone. What kind of tricks are you pulling, lady? That's just my little old mutant power. Anybody I touch, I absorb. Their powers and memories temporarily. Kind of like you do, Crusher. Comes in handy sometimes, see? Hope you ain't hurt, Eric. I thought the deal was we were all going to contact each other if any one of us found Kelly first. When you didn't check in with us, I knew something was up. I'm sorry, Rogue. I know it was wrong. I simply didn't want to put any of you in danger. You can't that's the difference between, I'm going to put this out a million times, that's the difference between Charles Xavier and Magneto. Magneto goes, like he's already mentioned, my place is not to lead by the sidelines, but to fight by their sides. Like Magneto puts himself in front of his men, where Chuck puts teenagers in front of himself. You can't protect us forever, Eric. And that's one of the reasons we made it a priority to find you. There are no words, and then Kenny, there are no words I can use that will express my gratitude for this rescue. Still, the ugly truth is nothing will change so long as Apocalypse is in power. Oh, and he goes, and that's one of the reasons we made a priority to find you. I've just received word from the underground, specifically my mother, Mystique. She thinks they've located Apocalypse, and that finally we'll be able to stop him once and for all. Somewhere else. You see this mutant being tortured. Since Apocalypse came to power and the world changed, Prelate Scott Summers has been surrounded by the trappings of a ruling class, unparalleled in human history. Choosing as being genetically superior by his fellows, he is due all the privileges of royalty, yet deep in his heart, something prevents him from embracing this way of life. Something makes him doubt. And as he watches the torture being perpetuated below, his unease only grows. Now he's thinking, I miss thought bubbles. Comics don't have thought bubbles like they used to. I know we've seen some earlier, but I like seeing like the X-Men slots. And here's Scott. What barbarism. It's like a medieval torture chamber, except with alien technology. We worship Apocalypse, but what kind of sick god would order such suffering? And then Beast. Oh, not Beast. This is Death. This is his death. I forget who he is in the 616. You're early. So when they said like the royalty, I said the prelates were like under Apocalypse's horsemen living higher. Think of the prelates as like knights. Like they're knights, but they're not quite like royalty. But he's been running with royalty, they pretty much said, because he's Sinister's surrogate son, and Sinister's one of the horsemen. Do you not approve of the methods used to glean more about the Avion's powers? You seem disturbed, prelate. I thought I detected a note of distaste as you gazed at the necessary experimentation. Hardly. I am as loyal to his high lord as you, Death. Most men tremble at the approach of the fourth and most infamous horseman, Prelate Summers. But you are different. Let us hope the whispered words that have come to my ears concerning your waving loyalties are false. Veiled threats mean little to me. I've come to personally oversee a transport from Lord Apocalypse to his head scientist, the Black Beast. Yes, I know. He's all not pleased with that. They're all terrified of Beast. The transport is being prepared, but you'll have to wait. His lordship isn't seeing anyone just now. You must be patient for the transfer. It will arrive shortly. Continue watching after Sunfire. There's something strange. Sunfire obviously being tortured, and they're using his powers to power this shit. There's something strange going on in very high places. I wonder, exactly why isn't Apocalypse here? And why isn't he seeing anyone? Curiouser and curiouser. Many thousands of miles distant, in the once blue-green hills of Kentucky, lie the ruins of a farmhouse formerly belonging to the Guthrie family. That's Cannonball and all his siblings. It was the site of a massacre as Sam Guthrie's father defiantly held off the invading hordes. Of Mr. Sinister, the chief geneticist of Apocalypse himself, Guthrie fought to protect his family from being carried off to the genetic experiment for genetic experimentation. Apocalypse saw such a decision as a work of honor. The oldest Guthrie saw things differently, and the High Lord laid the surrounding countryside to waste as a warning to those who would defy him. Unknown to Apocalypse below the radioactive residue of the surface, in the suffocating darkness, a cavern and a series of tunnels have been cut from the rock itself by Magneto. It is home to a stubborn underground which exists for the sole purpose of doing the unthinkable, topping the being called in Savanor, the Apocalypse once and for all. And maybe that's why I like this, because it's just straight up the X-Men toppling a fucking government. They're taking out a fucking warlord king. But sometimes rebels assume the strangest shapes. So here we see this white rabbit all Alice in Wonderland style. I'm late for a very important date. No time to say hello, goodbye. I'm late. Nice song, wonder who wrote it. Anywho, I'm here. And so is Sabretooth. And so is Blink. I think I know what the big guy's up to. Better lay low now. Better lay low a minute. Now here's Sabretooth and Blink. I like this couple. They're a weird couple and I like them. Sabretooth, listen to me, Clarice. When I rescued you from Abyss... Oh, I forgot about Abyss. Abyss is my favorite of the horsemen in this. He's short-lived. When I rescued you from Abyss, a ways back, you were just a lost, frightened kid. But the way you'd survived, I saw something in you, like some kind of old life spark that wouldn't go out no matter what they threw at you. The way you've been acting lately, it's like you've been retreating into that shell again. I know I ain't been the best role model in the world, seeing as how I used to run with Apocalypse's own son, Holocaust, taking humans to the pit for cooling. But I saw the light and came over to the side of the angels. It's a rotten world, pup. I ain't gonna fib to you, but you gotta face it head on, or you would have let creeps like Abyss win. Clarice, she's crying. crying. He goes, come on, you big lug. Reach out, and this is the white rabbit out there. Reach out for her. Tell her everything's going to be okay. Nuts, he's just thinking. And then he just busts in. Time to make an entrance because he's not making any headway. Surprise! Let's go, Sabi. Time's a wasting and we got places to go. Emergency meeting stuff. Who the... Boy, you're a big one. But you're coming with me if I gotta drag you. You know Magneto hates to be kept wet. And then, yikes! He swings at him and he goes, you little worm. That's Rabbit. I ain't in the mood for your garbage, Morph. Now shapeshift back to your true form and shut that oversized mouth of yours before I shut it for you permanently. How's the weather down here, Creed, old pal? So those of you who've seen X-Men the animated series, Morph was created for that cartoon to die in that episode. It's a story I'm not going to get into. We saw him earlier, but they didn't give the name or have you really realized who you were looking at. This is Morph's debut into the real comic universe and jumping out of that cartoon. And yes, he looks different. They made him look more like a white changeling than they made him look like the person that was Morph from that. When me and Logan found that little girl, she was on a transport on her way to the pit. You think she finds you funny, wise guy? Her parents and brother died on the way to the Collings. Is she supposed to laugh? And what do you know? Everything's just a joke to you. And then Morph, I was only trying to lighten things up. I wanted to make her feel better, Vic. Is that so wrong? You want to make her happy? Then stop making jokes. And help us take down Apocalypse before it's too late. This is a nerve center of the underground which threatens the rule of Apocalypse. It is the war room of Magneto and those rebellious mutants he has gathered around him to ultimately fulfill the long denied dream of Charles Xavier, now and forever. They are the astonishing X-Men. And then Rogue's like, nice of you to take your time, Victor. Don't start with me, Rogue. And then Nightcrawler, we know Apocalypse is long-lived. Still, he needs time to recover, and he's been wounded. And we wounded him real good last time we unleashed I'm sorry, I can't read it because on the computer's I get nervous. And we wounded him real good last time we clashed, mon ami. Isn't that right, Nightcrawler? Exactly, which is why the rebel intelligence believes he is recuperating right now. My mother says they've discovered where he is recuperating. Here, aboard something called and then it goes, ship. The precog Destiny saw it in one of her visions, drew this and passed it to Mystique, who sold it to me so Magneto would have it. Impossible. Colossus, impossible. How can something so huge be hidden here on Earth without anyone knowing about it? It can't, Colossus. Apocalypse planned well. He's doing his recuperating in something called the blue area of the moon. The moon? So what you're saying is we're out of luck. And for those of you, the blue area of the moon is where the Inhumans traditionally have always lived. Like I said, the rest of the Marvelverse is there. I just never noticed. The mammoth alien construct called Shep hovering over the moon's blue area, built by a race that was ancient when humanity was young. Apocalypse became the master some centuries ago, and he utilized its myriad of wonders since then for his own purposes. That's what happened in the original stuff, is that Apocalypse was a mutant with super strength. He discovered this kind of Shi'ar ship, and he utilized all its assets over centuries and stuff, and to become the Apocalypse we know. Some of us speculate that the technology left behind in the past in Egypt by King the Conqueror and Loki is going to be this Apocalypse, their Apocalypse's kind of birth, that they choose to go with that. So now back to Cyclops thinking. Those ruins below, the ruins of an alien civilization. I wonder, if it hadn't been for the destruction wrought by the eugenics wars, would mankind have reached the stars one day? We will see you now. Moments later. Prelate Summers. I have been giving serious deliberation as to whether I should turn the Cherigen Mist over to you, as per sinister request. So yeah, these are the Inhumans. It's been in the family for quite some time now. I'd hate to see it sullied. And then he goes, canisters blowing from the ceiling. He sees his stuff coming down. While I possess the Terrigen Mist, I am more important an aid to our High Lord than is Sinister with all his eugenic machinations. The mists are mutagenic. It is how I have the ability to turn my ordinary countrymen into the most extraordinary creatures. You will be leaving within the hour, Prelate Summers, to inform the rest of Apocalypse's horsemen. I never realized this. This is Maximus the Mad. This is Maximus the Mad he's talking to. My peers, if you will, see that when Sabanor is at rest. My peers, if you will, that while in Sabanor is at rest, you arrest for however long that may be. I am in control. Do I make myself clear? Very. I'll do as you wish, Death. Excellent. I believe even this one is now cowed. Then here's Blink thinking, there, that's done. And then Blink talking to the Sabretooth. He goes, look up, pup. Oh, Mr. Creed, I didn't see you there. Did the emergency meeting go okay? Yeah. Come on, you don't have to be afraid. I read that wrong. He goes, pup, yeah, I read that wrong. Let me try that again. There's that done. Look, pup, oh yeah, no, I read it right. Oh, I didn't see you standing there. She goes, okay. And she goes, what you think really matters to me. So tell me, what you're thinking already. I'm not all that great at this kind of stuff, but I just wanted you to know everything's going to be all right. No, it isn't. Apocalypse is destroying the world. That ain't true. Sure, he's beating us up a bit, but you, me, Magneto, even that wonderful guy Morph, we're all doing what we can to fight back. Not all of us. I'm not doing my part, am I? And this is where X-Men's empowering is shit like this. This is what I don't know, real quick to interrupt in. I like this shit, because growing up as a kid, I need to see these characters like this. And this is why I always tell people, don't lie down and die. That line's great. He's like, sure, he's beating us up a bit, but you, me, Magneto, even that wonderful guy Morph, we're all doing what we can to fight back. So she goes, I'm not doing my part. He goes, no. You got the power to blink in and out of anywhere. You can even bring other people with you. And right now, we need to get to a place that's real far away. A place only you can get us to. I'll try. You're a good man, Morph. And he starts crying because it's not Morph, it's Sabretooth. And he goes, what? Oh no, it is Morph. He goes, what? How'd you know it was me? It was that wonderful guy Morph line. The real Mr. Creed would sure never say that. We need your help, Clarice. We've discovered Apocalypse is hiding out on the moon, and right now he's vulnerable. But only your blinking power can get us there. I know it sounds scary, even impossible, but your powers have surprised us before. You can do it, girl. So, are you up for it? And then her face changes, and she's like, all right. And so it goes on, Magneto thinking that, and then Rogue. Eric, what are you doing up here? Everybody's taking care of business full stream, and you look like you're moping big time, perhaps. I don't ever want the others to see me like this. Indecisive, weak. Weak? What are you talking about? The war's not going well. We are few, and Apocalypse's forces seem endless. We run our guerrilla raids. We rescue civilians, but what does it mean in the larger scheme? It means plenty. The Human High Council says we've been a lightning rod to the humans to rise up against Apocalypse. What good has that done? Has it slowed that monster down one iota? All it's accomplished is to give false hope to the masses, send them to their deaths, with a rousing cheer to live free or die on their lips. Will you stop berating yourself this way? We sent Apocalypse off to lick his wounds last time. In my book, that counts for something. You're a born leader, Eric Lensher. Just cut yourself some slack now and again. The world's going to become a better place. Thanks to you. It's already a better place for me. And we're going to get hitched someday, and God willing have a child. And he's not going to grow up under the shadow of Apocalypse. And then Morph interrupts. I just love this mushy stuff. Morph? At your service, boss man. And may I present Butacious Blink. Butacious Blink. Oh, it's so good to be back on the surface again. Just to see the sun feel the wind on my cheeks. It's wonderful. Oh, Rogue, How you doing? The gang's all here. Yes, with Blink's cooperation, we'll face Apocalypse on the moon. I don't like this. Death may have ambitions to usurp Apocalypse's power. But in some ways, he may be even more monstrous than Apocalypse himself. It might be time for me to take a stand. Good old Scott can't help me being Scott. His army is growing larger all the time. How much can one man do? I think Death is going to find out shortly. Ship casts an enormous shadow over the blue area ruins. A city wherein life has not been seen in millennia, but no longer as a pinprick of light heralds the arrival of Earth's last best hope for freedom. And this is Blink. Yeehaw! The X-Men are here. You're the master of stealth, Rogue. And then Sabretooth. Gotta hand it to your ma, Nightcrawler. Her intelligent networks was on the ball. I wasn't sure the old broad could be trusted, seeing as how I hear she skims off the top when she's helping mutant refugees. But she said there'd be oxygen for breathing in this dump, and she was right. And then more, I'm just a traveling man, dum 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 dum. So, Magneto, fascinating. Ruins left by an alien race. What treasures? What knowledge must be hidden in every corner? If only I had the time to study, to solve the mysteries. Yeah, maybe you can come back here on a college scholarship, Magnus, and pour over this junkyard to your heart's content. Me, I want to kick butt and head home for some brews. Good Lord, that spaceship is so awesome. The risk in coming here was great, but if your own mother can't be trusted to tell the truth, who can? Regrettably, in this awful age, Kurt, even the closest to us are suspect. I love Magneto. I love this whole dialogue. I love this. I love these X-Men. Gotcha always said, a blink in the hand is worth two in the bush. You did good, real good. If it wasn't for your powers, we wouldn't be here. Don't stop babying her, you piece of silly putty. And then Blink goes, why do you hate me, Mr. Creed? Hate? Yeah? Who the heck said that? Sometimes I feel like you're sorry you ever rescued me, like I'm a disappointment to you. Nothing can be further from the truth. And he's like pissed. He's like, nothing can be further from the truth. I believe the lackeys of Apocalypse have arrived, the X-Men. On my signal, attack. You, stay behind my back, kid. You'll be safe. She's like, all right. And then here come the Inhumans. Lackey, is it? I'm Death, most dreaded of the four horsemen. And there around me are my oldest, my loved ones, an inhuman army conceived and bred on the genetic templates of my long-dead family, a family murdered to create this loyal force. I have assumed command in aiding Apocalypse's empire while he regains his strength. And what better way to show the world I was destined for this lofty post than by slaying those who in Sabanor himself has been unable to defeat. It's cool because like I said, never read these. Now I realize that's Medusa. I realize that's Sir Black Bolt, and that is Magnus the Mad. That's cool. That's cool. I didn't realize how much of this extended back in the day into the main Marvelverse. What you say, Death Guy? Let's dump this and Sabanor creep all together? I think he's just trying to use up sick days before the old fiscal calendar runs out. Comprende? Let me bounce in while you... Fucking Morpheus just, he's like, how dare you speak to me in so familiar a tone? Familiar? Oh, you don't know the half of familiar. I want to get with you, stranger. And he gives him a kiss. Get your filthy lips off of me. Are you, and he blows her. You all right, Morph? I think so, man. Some maniacal would-be dictators just can't take a joke. I'll suffer no more insults. Kill Magneto and his pathetic band of acolytes. Kill them. I never realized he called the X-Men the acolytes. Sonic blast from the sonic blast from the one with the big mouth, deafening, almost solid, knocking us back. I've gotten behind him. Now hit him with multi-teleportational body blows. Here you guys are seeing fucking Nightcrawler fuck up Black Bolt. Ugh, snared by some sort of wire. And that's Medusa's hair. The elf's in trouble. That woman's wrapping him so fast in her hair. The little guy can't concentrate on teleporting out. Come here, sister. Just let me get my hands on you and I'll strangle you with them strands. Good old Sabretooth. Kurt's out, but I think I got to Lady Godiva here before she did him in. Man, oh man, this gal is enjoying herself. I ain't never had the chance to tee up with such a slow-moving target like you, Stumbo. Too bad it had to end. Not until I see your skin blackened and smoking from my electrical discharge. Oh, it's not over yet. You're down, but still moving. I'll have to up the voltage. What? My own bullets being hurled back at me? Who? By one who is the master of such phenomena, which? Magneto. And don't think I was unaware of the clumsy sneak attack you three have attempted. And he just turns around and blasts the other three. We haven't done nothing. Rogue, are you alright? And then keys in prism. Your foolish concern for the female has proven your undoing, turncoat. You will drown, never knowing if she lives or dies, destroyed by elements you have no control over. Water. Morph, no. Huh? The changeling got hit bad. That one is preoccupied. He will fall easily before my thrust to the key pressure points of his body. I don't see any sign of him. You must... I think that's Karnak. I don't see any sign of him. So you must have blown him up real good. What you did to him is going to look like a picnic compared to me ripping out your stinking throat. Oh, that's the dog. Okay, that's their dog. This is the freaking Inhuman's dog, and that's Karnak, yeah. I don't think so. Seeing he hits Saber to the spot, gather them all and take them aboard the ship. Mr. Creed, what's going to happen to us now? Shortly after the unconscious X-Men have been taken aboard the Mammoth spacecraft, a small, tentative figure emerges from the shadows, having just teleported up. I am the only one escaped. Somehow when Morph was supposedly obliterated back on the moon, he just used that chance to shapeshift into me. That gave me the chance to escape. While Morph was taken up here with the others, in my form, no way am I going to leave Mr. Creed and the others to be slaughtered. But what can I do about it? And then all of a sudden, she gets grabbed from behind by Cyclops. Don't make a sound if you value your life. I'm not going to hurt you. If I was, I could have turned you over to them. I am Prelate Summers. I control the slave pens for Apocalypse. Now tell me who you are and why you're here. I'm with the X-Men. We came to the moon to get Apocalypse once and for all, but we ran into that Horseman Death and his army, and they defeated us and took us all took all the X-Men aboard the ship. I can't save them alone, mister. You gotta help me. Death's gonna kill them. All's not fair. They're all the family I have. Please. He goes, I'll do it, but realize there is no chance of you ever getting to Apocalypse. I believe he was teleported to Earth the moment the blue area's security parameters were breached. I don't care about him. I just want my friends back. In the chamber, some distance away. Ha! You all awaken. Good. Despite your current condition of restraint, there is a magnificent destiny in store for the so-called X-Men, far greater than the ragtag rebels. You will soon be exposed to the gene-altering Terrigen Mist, which will mold you into biological subjects in my thrall. Though you will become freakish in appearance, the X-Men will march forth as the spearhead of a new army, on which will sweep all before it in a killing frenzy unseen even in this bloody era. And the list of casualties will include one whose time has passed. He who calls himself Apocalypse. Well, that's a nifty agenda. Mind if I sit in on the sidelines and watch? Shh. Your charade is over, Death. Summers, you've taken leave of your senses. These genetic lowborns are enemies. You're the turncoat here, Death, and I am freeing this poor soul. Shiro Yoshida has endured enough barbarism at your hands. The mutant Sunfire is free. You have no idea what you've unleashed. He is the one Terrans call Sunfire. His atomic fire could destroy us all. Blink, you can do this. Believe in yourself. Good girl. Now don't forget your friends. Shouldn't we all have caught that particular shuttle? Be quiet, Morph. She's concentrating, and he's all dressed like Hunter, or shifting like a Hunter S. Thompson version of himself with a briefcase. Be quiet, Morph. She's concentrating. Obviously, Summers is teleporting to a different location than we will. Forget about him, Victor. That fireball is going to do all your dirty work. You ain't running off, are you, slime ball? And he's dying? No. The death scream of the fourth horseman is all but swallowed by the overwhelming sounds of the incinerating spacecraft, which glows offering suffering atomic flames, and reduces one high indestructible ship to flailing ash and cinder. The earth blinks. Sunfire is spent, but still lives. Good. I got hunches he's going to come in handy for our side in the future. Did I help enough, Mr. Creed? You're the best, kid. You're the best. Thanks. Oh, you're one hot tamale. And there's more full. You asked me if I still have faith, Rogue. I do. The war still rages, though. Eric, one thing still bothers me. Why did Summers help us? Was it out of his loyalty to Apocalypse or something more? Only time will tell, but I sense an inner strength, a nobility in the man called Cyclops. Perhaps when the day of our final battle with Apocalypse arises, we will be able to call him an ally. And would that not be the greatest tribute to Charles Xavier, that despite our differences and varying backgrounds, in times of need, something common to all human souls will bind us together? And then they're looking up at the sky, and there's Cyclops looking down from space. That's cool. Like I said, these books were written so much better. That's cool. It has been nearly 2 decades since Charles Xavier died. Since that tragedy occurred, the ageless conqueror known as Apocalypse has waged bloody warfare on the human race, establishing a cruel society in which mutants, humankind's genetically gifted brethren, are the ruling class, while Homo sapiens is left to wallow in the evolutionary mud. The world belongs to him, but the dream of peace has not become extinct yet. One man, Eric Magnus Lencher, the man called Magneto, has organized a hopelessly outnumbered band of resistance in an effort to eventually overthrow the High Lord, the astonishing X-Men, and now may be their greatest chance for victory, for a battle-weakened Apocalypse is recuperating on the legendary blue area of the moon. However, they will be confronted by a madman, perhaps more dangerous than Apocalypse himself. That was a little back of the book preview for this, but it was cool. I had to read it. Thank you guys for listening to me read. I'm going to post this on my YouTube. I got to read an X-Men and Philosophy chapter. I might come back and read that because I don't know if I put playing games, but we'll see. Thank you guys for listening, and